Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to WOR. We are here for the round six of the mystery season, and my goodness me, what a yeah. It's such a shame not to hear, not to see Cameron's dad in the chant, like cheering on his son anymore. That is probably the biggest news we're going to hear tonight. But we are at Monaco for the race, and I'm joined this week by LCR Leopard, feeling a little better, but still a little bit under the weather. But he's here nonetheless for this one. So, Monaco, I think we know what it's going to be like.
Yeah. You never know, right? You never know what could happen. I mean, there's a couple. I've been involved in a few decent Monaco races in my life. Yeah, I think. Look, it doesn't fill you with excitement, does it? As a neutral, as someone watching. I mean, for me, this is as a driver, it was actually one of the tracks I'd always look forward to as a driver. But at least when I was utterly mad and I was not even an adult yet. So I think things change when you grow up. But yeah. If you could tell, those watching, me and Gareth have mixed feelings about this race, but I'm sure we'll get into it as we watch the drivers tackle the Monaco streets at night, no less as well. Just for, I can only imagine, is extra atmosphere. But yes, in the meantime, obviously qualifying. Arguably, when it comes to Monaco, probably actually the main event of the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. But that'll wait for another, say, 12 or so minutes, or when we get to the final runs, when we really get to crunch time here on the streets of Monte Carlo. But since then, Gareth, seeing as I wasn't here, 2 weeks ago, if you wouldn't mind, if you can remember, filling those in that are watching, and maybe not more importantly, but for my own personal gain as well.
So it was another street circuit. It was Singapore, and Tech Brutal took victory by 2.5 seconds from TF10 Ryan. I believe Lauren's also picked up a penalty through that one as well. So lots of incidents happening. I think Lauren's now picked up a fair few penalties this season. Joe Murphy and Cameron Dowds and Casper Fleck all picked up 5-second penalties as well, which dropped them down the order a little bit, because Cameron did finish a little bit closer to Tech than what looked on the screen. Joe Murphy did as well, and Casper was closer, but not close enough for it all to affect. So there was loads of things happening through that one, but the final runnings, let's say, was Tech, Ryan, Epic Vale, Dirk, Ryder Dahl, Joe Murphy, Cameron Dowds, Shazoo Oscar, Casper Fleck, and Le Quantum. In the standings, that gives Tech Brutal a brutal lead at the top of the standings. 13 points with at the halfway stage of the season. Don't forget, they're not allowed to use hard compound of tyres here tonight, which might spice things up a little bit for Monaco, if I thinking about it. Brando then is here tonight, so he's got that 12-point gap over Ryder Dahl. Epic Fail, obviously no more Cameron Dowds. Volaconga, though, in the outside chance of a championship fight. And I think TF10 Ryan might just be outside of it now, with all things said and done. Drivers going out massively, but I mean, it's 13.5 minutes left of qualifying, but it does mean we can have not look at the track map, look at the calendar. And unfortunately, neither of us won again, because Jota said Australia and I said Saudi Arabia. So I was close with a street track and a tight and twisty one, just not this tight and twisty.
No, yeah, I mean, I messaged you earlier about it. Just I was going to try and see if I could take a punt at it myself. And to be fair to Jota, Australia was probably one of the three that I was kind of between. I mean, we've said this many times. There's no logic to our guesses. There's nothing you can look at or analyze to make any sort of educated guess. It's just pure pot luck. And yeah, we've. I think the closest we've got, I can't remember who it was. I think one of us got the right track, but a round early. Can't remember who it was.
I think that was you with Miami, was it not?
Might have been. But we've never got it bang on. And well, I mean, as the rounds, go by, then the more chance there is that we will get one. Of course, now after this, there is. Just let me take a look at the calendar. So we've got 4 more attempts after this one, and obviously, a few of those. Well, 6 of the tracks of the. How many was there in the track?
20?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16.
16. Oh, I was close. Closer than my guesses.
So yeah, we've got, come the final round, I think we'll have like a 1 in 10 of getting it. Well, maybe 2 in 10 if we go separately. If we go for different ones. So I'm. Well, I mean, I said that there's nothing to really work on here, but yeah, I hope that one of us will get one this season.
I'll be perfectly honest. I just want, at this point, I'm just hoping for one of us to get a correct guess.
Yeah. Well, if one of us gets one of them, it's utter limbs in the commentary box. We'll be ranting and raving about it all race long. The day it happens, if it happens. As mentioned, obviously, as the rounds tick on by, the more chance we'll get, or the chances swing more in our favour. But nevertheless, we've still not gone right in the first 6 rounds, which is a shame.
Unfortunately, not. But just on the Monaco track, I'm sure it's going to rear its ugly head anyway. A retirement on the track actually. And that is TF10 Ryan crashing out of the session. I think Justin has done the same. So we've lost 2 drivers already in this one. Will Brando see the stricken car? No, Brando won't see the stricken car, unfortunately. Before I was going to say, for a street track, it is quite easy to cut corners at, well, turn 1, Saint Devot, and also turn 15 and 16. And that adds a little bit extra jeopardy to this track, obviously, because drivers, unfortunately, like Ryan and Justin have found out, it's very easy to also crash here.
Yeah, it's an incredibly it is the toughest circuit on the calendar by without question. And yeah, as you mentioned, track limits are going to play a role as Elgio goes to the top of the timing screens. The times are tumbling. We might see a 6 come the end of this qualifying session. We'll have to wait and see. But, as you mentioned, Saint Devot is an easy one. I think the other 2 being Nouvelle Chicane and Swimming Pool as well. Those 2 chicanes, because you're pushing the limits of the track, because you're allowed to. Oh, as Dirk has gone, front row sitter Dirk, Swimming Pool, I'm pretty sure has had an absolute howler. We're on board with Max van der Geest, or I'm on board with Max van der Geest. Where's he?
Yeah, it was at the exit of the Swimming Pool, turn 15. I think, looking at it from a Brando point of view, I didn't see it all, but I think inside of turn 15, and that just caused, no end of problems. Max Verstappen-esque problems, if you remember all those years ago.
Yeah.
The Quantum then? Can the Quantum do a lap time? Let's see. We'll keep on board with that as you were going through possible areas.
Yeah, obviously, in terms of track limits, as the Quantum bails into the pit lane.
Typical.
Yeah, I know. And that will play a role in the race, because obviously, I mean, it depends how this race goes. I mean, we've seen Monaco races that have been, that can spread out very, very easily. But we've also seen races that can be really bunched up, and if it turns into one that really bunches up and turns into a bit of a truly train, whoever decides to take up the role of Jarno Trulli, as Epic Vale has also gone at Lowe's hairpin, of all places. How's he done that?
a very, very good question. As Ryan Bakar, I think's just put themselves 8th, or are they just on lap time now? I can't tell. But yeah, that's unless they've just locked up into the hairpin there.
I mean, that is quite a. It was. I mean, I caught the onboard of it. I was trying to go on board with him, and I just sees, just in the wall at lowest hairpin, you know, the front right suspension completely and utterly caved in. That is.
That sounds a bit like some of my iRacing experience. Oh goodness me! Ryan Bakar nearly crashes out of Portier.
Yeah, back end completely lost. He was drifting through lowest hairpin. I'm guessing it's just the way with this handling model. If you can get almost a handbrake turn through lowest hairpin, and maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what happens to Epic Veil. Just overdid it on the handbrake turn. Obviously, you know, the quickest way around potentially, but obviously, you know, when you're quite literally, you know, making the car dance, it obviously does bring a bit of jeopardy to the situation. It's also, you know, it's not surprising, you know, seeing, you know, the drivers getting caught out. I mean, it's bad enough when, you know, you've got time to prepare for a Monaco Grand Prix, let alone jump, you know, you got to jump in unknowingly that it could be Monaco. Of course, they know there's a chance, but obviously the idea behind all this is so, you know, there is no mass preparation, and Oscar's gone as well. Except Nouvelle Chicane got too close to the wall, and that front left suspension has gone. And another car has bitten the dust. Max van der Geest has also gone, and I think it's the same corner.
This is becoming a little bit of a race of attrition right now, and
it's only qualifying, lads.
Well, yeah, maybe. Oh, as I think the Alpha Kevin, I think, was going quicker, but has, well, possibly just stopped as Lifebout is pretty much inside, and Aston Martin as they're going through into the back now. This is an interesting. As Le Quantum's gone at Nouvelle Chicane as well. Nouvelle Chicane is taking a lot of victims, and well, I was going to say
the exit every time as well.
I think, well, unless it's on the inside of turn 10 and it just careers off. I'm not 100% sure, as Neil goes even quicker still, and Lifebout goes into 6 as well. But some of these drivers that don't usually get poles or wins or whatever can see themselves higher up the order if they just keep it clean.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, we could quite easily you know, see a driver that is kind of in the mid-pack of this standings with a very good result just propel themselves into championship contention. Casper Flash goes into well, Casper, is it Casper Flash? Casper Flack?
I'm going Casper Flack.
Casper Flack, right, I'm going to go with that, so we're both in the same boat. You can tell us if we've butchered it later. Yeah, goes into P4 in the Alpine. But yeah, Nalgio, current pole man, quite convincingly as well. Has his track hooked up very quickly. Volakongan puts it to the head of the second row of the grid. But yeah, it's gonna be... Look, this race might not be an entertaining one, but I have the feeling that it could have massive championship implications.
I think it will. I think you're right, because look at Tech Brutal, 14th place, and apparently he's never driven it on this race on this game before.
Well, he's a pad man, isn't he?
That's a very good question. I think he is.
When was the last time someone won Console Tier 1 on the pad? Has anyone ever won Console Tier 1 on the pad?
Yes. I can't remember his name. This is really annoying. He was very, very quick. Well, he had to be to take a victory.
How long are we talking?
He was racing with you.
Because I mean, obviously, when you think pad, or at least when I think pad, one name comes to mind, and that's Syrah. But he didn't win it, I don't think.
What, Monaco?
No, as in the whole championship.
Oh no, no one's won a championship on a pad. I thought you meant a race. My misunderstanding.
No, the entire championship.
No, I don't think there has been someone that won the championship.
Hold on. Is anyone in chat? Is Luke in chat? Is anyone in chat to confirm this?
Hopefully Luke will be.
Or am I going to be messaging Luke soon?
Possibly. Luke will come to us soon enough. BRT Joe Murphy
anyway.
coming into Anthony Knows now. Through. He is up on their lap time. Down the start finish straight across the line. Can Joe Murphy only P3?
P3 still decent though.
Ooh.
Well, that's not going to do you any favours. Kick Sauber, I'm not going to be happy about that. But yeah, P3 nevertheless still... Maybe look, it's better than where he was. That's for certain. And again, it just feels like one of those rounds where things could change massively, as far as this title battle is concerned. Whether it be, say, Tech Brutal just bringing it home for a solid 6th or 5th place and extending his lead at the top of the standings, but in doing so, or whether he does have a bit of a howler. And it does allow the likes of Brando, Ryder Dahl, Epic, excuse me, still ill, Epic Vale and whatnot to, reel him in. Volokongan's up there; he's going to be in a good position. If he can maybe find another 10th or so. On the topic of that, we have just over a minute left of qualifying.
We have indeed, and anything is possible in this track, in these conditions, as we've seen already. Eight cars crash out, I believe, which is absolutely mental. Neil, though, coming through.
Gone.
And...
We'll get another go at it.
Oh, that is... Joe Murphy's retired from the session. I think that's more out of...
frustration.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were able to get through the lap again. But Alcin, possibly on a lap time. There's a McLaren in front. Is that Lifeboat in front? It is. Let's see what Lifeboat can do then. Or Lifebout, I should say. Not Lifeboat.
Purple.
Purple in Sector 2. Really riding some of these walls really closely. No. That was a mistake through La Rascasse. But, oh, goodness me, that is even stepping out. That is huge stepping out. And
yeah.
That's in the wall.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that reaction because that looked like it could be a very promising lap. In the end, it's all gone. Can Ryder Dahl get to line in time for one more go at it? No, he is actually the first to cross line. So Ryder Dahl, one of the potential championship contenders, third in the standings, will only be P13. Tech Brutal has got a few tenths in his back pocket. Where can the championship leader put the Haas? P8. And you know what? Again, we think he's a pad driver. That will do if you're the championship leader. Tech Brutal. Follow Kongan up to the line. Improves but stays P4. Nalgio is on a lap, or has it gone?
6 seconds down. I don't believe...
I don't think he's getting that back in the last sector.
No, not unless there's something special to come, but he would need to cross the line now, but it's not happening. So Neil is done a pretty good job there. To claim pole by 0.3 of a second. Very, very good job from the Aston Martin driver. And, from what we've seen so far, it's going to be very, very tricky for the guys out there tonight. But let's go down the order very quickly. It's Neil from Dirk to on the second row of the grid with Joe Murphy and Volokonga, then Max van der Geest and Casper Flack. TTM Alcin, Tech Brutal in 8th, our championship leader. Oscar in 9th and 10th to Lifebout. In 11th, Epic Vale, Randbakar in 12th. 13th to Alpha Kevin. 14th to Ryan. Ryder Dahl in 15th. The main championship contender in 16th in Brando. LeQuantum, Hazara, Justin, and then Lawrence. Those two will be swapped around because of a qualifying ban for Justin. And I suppose it's time not to have a look at the track map again. We don't want to remind ourselves what is going on, but the standings wise here is quite crucial because Tech's championship rivals are out of sight. I can't remember where Epic Vale went, but I think Epic Vale was outside the top 10 as well, so it's looking positive if you're Tech Brutal.
If you're Tech Brutal, if you're, and you're a pad driver, when you see this race, whether it's, in the calendar weeks before or in this case scenario, just literally as you're in the lobby, you immediately think damage limitation. It's, it is of all, when you talk about pad tracks and wheel tracks, this is the ultimate wheel track. This is not, not a track where the padding is flat. It's just a case of get what you can. And that qualifying, that lap to put in P8 on the grid is a very good start in, getting what you can from this, limiting the damage, and it could be one of those almost hammer blows to his title rivals of, we've seen a few rounds like it in real life F1 when it becomes, maybe from a qualifying or just the car not suiting the track, where they're at, and you think, okay, this round, for this driver, this team, whatever, is going to be damage limitation. It becomes a hammer blow to your rivals when that round that was meant to be damage limitation, and suddenly they extend their advantage. That's just a hammer blow to your title rivals. And Tech Brutal, well, right now, is on course to do just that.
It certainly is indeed. Where it's typical. Unfortunately, a World Online restart is a continuing trend for the remainder of the game, I believe. But we talk about, we don't often talk about Monaco because it's not on a calendar, not on very many league racing calendars or anything like that. But it's got some of the most historic names on, like, corner names, hasn't it? It's got Santa Vot, Nouvelle Chicane, Tabac, Maisonette, Mirabeau, Casino, Portier, La Rascasse, so the swimming pool section, Anthony Knows, Louis Chiron. You can reel them off.
Yeah.
So for a commentator, it should be quite nice, but obviously sometimes it can be stressful because you can see overtaking opportunities open for a small moment of time and you think someone's going to go for it, but they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we've seen it in real life F1 and it can become a bit, Monaco's its own race, isn't it? It has its own unique challenge to it of keeping out the barriers as best you can. And you've also got strategy as well, and timing that pit stop will be crucial. Of course, we've got added strategy here with no hard tires available, which will be interesting to see if they can get a set of mediums to the end, or if they can take the softs long enough to take the mediums to the end, or where there will be a two-stop. That could make it interesting strategically. We've seen it a lot this season with the drivers. They're not afraid to make a move. I don't think that's going to change here. In all honesty, I think if there's half a gap into Mirabeau or Lois Hairpin or into the Nouvelle Chicane or even Rascasse or wherever, they're gonna go for it. And it could we could see chaos. Well, we always see chaos. It's Monaco. It's gonna bring chaos of its own kind, but I have a sneaky suspicion we could be in for sheer and utter bedlam, I'd say.
I think you're probably right there, to be perfectly honest. But the likelihood is it's going to be a two-stop strategy unless there's a few safety cars, which is probable, which saves the tyres that little bit more. But, I mean, what strategy would you go for here?
I'd tell you if I knew how the tyres were, and how they'd react, but if it was me, assuming very stupidly that there's going to be no safety cars, if it was me, okay. I think probably off the bat, I'd be thinking 2-stop in this scenario. If I had time to prepare for a Monaco race with the scenario that you can't use the hard tires, I would certainly, as probably would all the drivers, be very intrigued to see if a soft medium is possible. Because I don't think a medium soft's going to be of any use, because you'll just put yourself way too far down the order with too much to do on the softs, with very little time with how far you need to take those mediums. But I would be interested and would probably go for a soft medium if it was doable. If it's not doable at all, which I think it would make this the first track so far this season where that one stop is not possible?
I think we had, did we not? No, China was 2-stop, wasn't it? They tried the 1-stop, but it didn't work. Some drivers, didn't they? So yeah, possible. Possibly the only track on here. See, I'm thinking soft, medium. You get the double hit of fast,
yeah,
and then just hold on like Danny Rick did with his broken Red Bull all those years ago.
Yeah, that might be the way to go if the softs can go long enough, can kind of like bridge that kind of gap between, the mediums getting to the end, or however long the mediums can go. I'm not making much sense here. I know what I mean in my head. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what these guys do and how the tires do react. Not just does a tire life, but does a tire drop off, because the tire drop off around here, especially on a softer compound, at least from experience, is pretty big. So
God,
what? Oh
raining.
my! Oh my!
So let's remind ourselves of the championship standings right now, because it is raining, and it's made it just adding a little bit more jeopardy, a little bit more spice to the pot, and Tech Brutal has that 13-second lead. However, 13 points lead. He's also in control from a qualifying perspective, but we saw in qualifying that anything is possible. Now, the question I'm going to ask you, which is you are going to hate, is who's going to win this one?
There's a very safe bet here, and that's just betting on the pole man, because he had such an advantage over second place, did Nalgio. But throwing rain into the mix? I mean, put it into a random number generator between 1 to 20 and just pick one. Genuinely, just pick one. There's about as much guesswork as it is to picking the tracks from our side into predicting a winner. Yeah, I think the only logical person I could pick is Nalgio, just for the simple reason he had 2 to 3 tenths on the next car out in front, let alone, to 6th, 7th, or wherever. Definitely. So that's my pick.
The wheel is your pick. Okay, chat, let us know your pick as well. See who you think is going to take victory here. But don't forget, Niall did nearly lose it in the Nouvelle Chicane, and maybe if we ever do Monaco again, we do a front wing lottery, Luke. That's more to you, and see how many front wings get destroyed in this race. But I'm going to choose Volakongan for this one.
Good shout.
Oh, and here we go. It is now on 3, 4, 5 red lights in the streets of Monaco in the depth of night, and away we go for the round 6 of WOR Mystery Season, and it looks like a poor start from Dirk into turn 1. It's a good start from Nail, who's got away cleanly. There's a few bits of argy-bargy into Santa Font, but it looks all clean at the moment.
Yep, there is. It is already contact in the midfield. There's a huge pile-up, in fact, in the midfield towards the back. I think it's Brando might have been caught up with it. There's a virtual safety car. Ryan's been caught up on it. He's completely out of the equation. No one has lost their
Lifebout has lost his front wing.
But massive amounts of carbon fibre everywhere. They were just trying to get the power down out of Sandoval, up the hill. you know, trying to get traction, trying to get grip, and they just couldn't. And just like that, a little bit of wheel spin, car reacted, and well, it's Monaco. They're trying to go side by side on lap 1. You know, you can kind of, you know the rest of the story. We know how this ends, and it ended in a kind of, well, I mean, it looked like a mass pile-up, but in the end, they've actually, as far as race-ending damage, I say that, what has gone between Lawrence and Hazara into Nouvelle chicane? Hazara completely locked up into Nouvelle. There's more contact on the virtual safety car. We haven't even got through lap 1, and it's already, I think my prediction of utter bedlam was the right one.
And, well, front wing damage to Hazara. I think
Who's coming in?
Lifebout should be coming into the pits as well to replace that front wing. So is, I think in the back, is that Epic Fail going into the pits? Yep. There's a few drivers. Ryan's trying to get through. Joe Murphy has a drive-through penalty, which is not ideal under these conditions. But we're back racing again, and Niall, it looks like they've had a really good start, but someone's in the wall again.
Joe Murphy's parked it. Joe Murphy, I think, is about to park it after that drive-through penalty, or his wheel's gone. One the two. I know he's had wheel issues in the past, but we'll have to wait and see what his thoughts are on that one. The rest of them, Lifebout, Epic Veiled, Ryan, Lawrence, Ryan Bakar, Hazara, Brando in the pits, by the way. That's huge for Tech Brutal. As well as where's Ryderdale down in 12th. He's actually going side by side with BLT Justin in the battle for P11. Justin's had a good start, hasn't he? Up from, well, he was last, wasn't he? Was Justin?
He was 19th because of Lawrence's penalty, qualifying ban, and he's really taken, well, a little bit of liberties with the Nouvelle chicane there, but the yellow flag's still out, and I think that this time is for Joe Murphy, who is struggling massively. Back end stepping.
Yep, I think he is struggling with these conditions. Now Gio on lap 2 of 39 has a 2-second lead already at the top, so it's a great day if you're Aston Martin. Both cars currently on the podium. Dirk split the 2 in his RB, but yeah, it really is going to be just a complete and utter race of attrition. It was bad enough in the dry, and now have some weather and the night as well, just to spice it up a little bit, because why not? Why not add a bit of extra spice to Monaco?
Why not, indeed. It's interesting that the Aston Martins and the RBs are the ones that are handling the pressure the best.
Oh yeah, it's both of them, isn't it, in the top 4? Aston Martin RB, Aston Martin RB. Oh, I say that, Dirk completely missing his braking point into Nouvelle chicane. Has to slightly cut the chicane. Allows Volokonga to close up, but nothing doing in terms of an overtaking manoeuvre. Justin is the first man to pick up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. And again, that car for Dirk, it doesn't look settled, does it? You can just see him. It's playing all sorts of shapes. It's dancing through the streets of Monte Carlo. But that's not what you want. You don't want it dancing at this stage of the Grand Prix. Now Gio 21.1 is checking out here at the front in the Aston Martin. He's looking for a first win of the season. Is the Aston Martin.
We've lost Justin as well. Volokongan. This will do Volokongan a world of good in the championship fight, because at the moment it's only one really in that top area that is doing the best job. But Weiderdal just knocking on the door of the points, but all it takes is one little wing damage and it could all crumble around them, as Dirk really struggling. You've mentioned it multiple times, but really struggling in multiple places on this track, and he's allowing Nail to run away with this.
I think Nail's just comfortable. He's comfortable around this circuit, and it's one of those things where, especially if you put it in place of, no practice, if you're comfortable around a circuit like this, Alpha Kevin, first one to clip the barriers. A virtual safety car has been deployed. Not a great day for the Tifosi. One of the Ferraris has gone, and yet again, just like in qualifying, for about half the drivers, it's the Nouvelle chicane that claims yet another.
Another victim to the streets of Monte Carlo. And my goodness me. Well, how many do we think we're going to lose tonight? We possibly will run out of safety cars. We might even run out of drivers. But Nail holding well at the moment. But again, we've seen all it takes is one mistake and you're out. So maybe Nail will be a little bit more conservative now.
Yeah, it depends, because you know, there's two ways you can go about this. You can kind of back off a bit and make sure you don't crash, but then there's times where it's like, well, that's when the crashes happen. You know, if you decide to just, you know, lift off a bit, that's when the mistakes can creep in. If you keep it, you know, maximum concentration or maximum attack, you can keep that flow, and it does just flow. But at the same time, you know, you are running the risk of, well, you're always under risk of putting it in the wall, but if you are maximum attack, you are under risk of putting it in the wall at all times. The thing is, for Nalgio, it does look like he can knock it down a couple gears if he so feels like it and still be okay. He has that much pace, it feels like, at least at this moment in time, in his back pocket, that it doesn't matter if he decides to take a few tenths off his lap time, even half a second off, just to, you know, increase the safety and bring it on home. Because I think, you know, at this rate, you know, you've got your first win of the season, potentially even first constant Team 1 win in sight. It's lap 6 of 39. You've already got 5 seconds, you know, in your back pocket. You've clearly the quickest out there. At what point do you just say, you know what, let's knock it down a few gears, knock it down to 50%, if that, and cruise home? But at the same time, there are times when, if you do decide to do that, that's when the mistake happens. So it's a bit of a mental game now. If you're Nalgio, TF10 Ryan actually saying the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That's interesting. So Ryan's got a bit of pace in that Alpine. But yeah, you know, it's definitely not going to be straightforward for Nalgio from here on out, even if it does look like it's going to be straightforward.
Volokongan losing a bit of time to Dirk. Dirk's found a little bit of composure in this race. An interesting call, though, from Ryder Dahl to pit for fresh intermediates early on, which is going to be possibly a good idea. No wet tyres used at the moment. Let's see. Well, actually, let's keep on the tyre situation for now. But Volokongan losing ground to Dirk. Nail continuing to go quicker. I wonder if... I wonder if the track is drying slightly.
Could be, but no one else is saying those lap times. He does, I mean, maybe a bit of both. I mean, the rain's still coming down pretty heavily. Maybe not heavily, but it's still definitely raining. Justin has lagged out. Oh, well, no, never mind. He's not lagged out of the session. He's out of the session already. Is the Haas. So yeah, and it does seem like we are hitting that point. It's lap 7 of 39, where well, we'll have to wait and see what happens, don't we, Gareth? We have to conjure up some things we have to talk about, because that's, well, there we go. Here's one. It's one of the things with the wet conditions. In the dry, and also, well, of course, you know, the added effects of DRS and whatnot would have helped, albeit, excuse me, gonna hear that a bit. Apologies. Yeah, albeit only on the run up to Saint Devote. It's, you know, with the rain, it does make it a lot easier. Lifebout has gone, and we have yet another virtual safety car. So that's 3 of the safety cars already used up, and they're all virtuals. A full-on safety car would really spice things up. So yeah, one of the McLaren's Lifebout has gone. But that, yeah, just briefly, whilst we do have the virtual safety cars, one of those things with the wet conditions, it does make it a lot harder to overtake. Just because I mean, look, it didn't need to be any harder, it's Monaco, but it is just one of those things. You do have to be a lot closer, or, you know, have a lot quicker to make a move in the wet. I'm not entirely sure behind this, the science of it all, but there is just that feeling of, especially around off the slower corners of, you know, if you've got a similar pace, then getting that power down, you know, getting the traction right, they just seem to pull away on exit, which does make it very difficult, you know, to get a move done, especially as a lot of this circuit, excuse me, is, you know, tight, slow corners with, you know, a few traction zones if you're on board with Nalgio now. You know, coming out of Anthony knows, you know, tight, twisty traction zone, you're going to need a much better exit to even think about doing anything into Sandivot. So, yeah, one of those. We'll have to wait and see if the track dries up. Volokongan is right behind Dirk, by the way. He's in the slipstream. Is he going to think about moving to Sandivot? Of course he isn't. He's not close enough. You have to be practically alongside to even think about it. Can he get the power down on the exit of Sandivot, up the hill, up through Beaurivage, up towards Massenet and Casino. Again, can't make a move, not quite close enough. Again, can he get the exit off Casino? No, Dirk just pulls away enough to put himself out of range for Mirabeau. There might be a potential chance into Lowe's or the Grand Hotel hairpin. I keep forgetting which one it's called. It seems like it has changed names before. Joe Murphy's got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. And again, here's another exit. Get a good exit off Portier through the tunnel. It could be a chance for Volokongan. Overtake on through the tunnel. That's sketchy. He's going to be braver on the brakes into Nouvelle Chicane. Looks like Dirk has managed to level Volokongan nicely and will keep hold of P2 for the time being.
Yeah, Volokongan doing a really good job at the moment, pressuring Dirk, and this could be where Dirk gets a... Well, it could be problematic for both of them. Dirk could be seeing that Aston Martin all over the back of him and make a mistake, or it could go the other way round. Now going quicker again, absolutely flying right now is the man in the Aston Martin right now. It's such a good job from Nail. Tech still in the points right now, but not going to have that many points gained over Brando. But Ryder Dahl is catching this group. He's caught 2.5, maybe 3 seconds. Oh, there's a Sauber getting in the way. That must be Joe Murphy's coming out of the pits, but that's not ideal.
Yeah, Tech Brutal has lagged out of the session, by the way. So the Quantum has gone on by. Yes, that is a kick Sauber of Joe Murphy, has to be, who has retired from this session. Oh dear, excuse me. Yeah, Tech Brutal back in. So he's managed to get back in quickly, which is good for the championship leader. He will be picking up a couple points. It really does seem like the only huge dent right now into his championship is going to come from Volokongan. At this moment in time, he's going to be the only one who's going to be making any real major inroads on Tech Brutal. In fact, it looks like it's going to be going the other way. Tech Brutal looks to be set to gain a couple points, even if it is a couple points, over the likes of Brando and Ryder Dahl.
Any points is good points when it comes to the championship lead, and if there are a few more drivers crashing out, it will all go into Tech Brutal's favour, as long as it isn't Tech, as he's gone again. This is real bad for Tech Brutal right now as things stand, as they continue up through into Masonette now, as we stand on board with this one, because this is where the major battle is. As much as I'd love to see Nail go across through on his own, he's 13.5 seconds in front of this one, and it must be a little bit of a boring race for him. But he is the king of Monaco, as it's well known. Well said in the chat. He has done a very, very good job, and well, it's obvious because he's 13.5 seconds in front of everyone else.
Yeah, he definitely has all that time is back. Gosh. My voice seems to be slowly leaving me. Epic Vale has lagged out of the session as well. So that's not good news for yet another championship championship contender. Yeah, main battle, as Neil Gio keeps saying, fastest lap after fastest lap, is between Dirk and Volokongan. There is Max van der Geest, Alessin, Oscar, Casper Flash, and Le Quantum also all in this train, which is, well, I think I mentioned, I think, was it mid, in between quali and race, or maybe even in quali. You know, who's gonna play the role of Jarno truly for us today? And it seems like TF10 Dirk is the man that has decided to take on that role in P2. He's the one at the head of this train. That goes all the way down to the Quantum down in 8th. And it does feel like if Volokongen can
We've lost another driver.
Another virtual.
And it's at Nouvelle Chicane again.
Again. Everyone's favourite corner, Nouvelle Chicane.
Volokongen really needs a perfect getaway from this one, so they can try and capitalise on Dirk. Dirk's been a bit slow from the safety car restarts, which has allowed Volokongen back into it, because initially Volokongen was struggling, but they've come back into it now, and maybe Volokongen can use the safety car restart to get them going again. But we're down to 15 drivers.
Yep, it's slowly turning into one of those races where if you finish, you're going to get points. Interesting, as he nearly misses the pit lane. In fact, Volokongen dives into the pit lane. Someone else has followed him in. It's a lesson. Oscar as well. Severe collision.
Ooh, interesting. Not sure where that severe collision was, but
it's meant to be with a lesson going into the pit lane, but I'm not too sure.
Hopefully,
anyway,
can get removed, and hopefully Volokongen doesn't get stuck behind. Well, if you're a Volokongen fan, get stuck behind the car of Tech Brutal, who is in and out of the session like a yo-yo. But Volokongen deciding to go early to try and undercut Dirk. It's possibly the best move he could do.
Yeah, for sure. And the problem is, he has just got stuck behind Tech Brutal, although Tech Brutal wide. Oh my gosh, Leo slide through Lowe's hairpin. I was about to say, I don't think I've seen anyone successfully go around the outside of Lowe's hairpin throughout all my time league racing. And, well, Volokongen couldn't quite pull it off there. But yeah, he has got stuck behind the championship leader, Tech Brutal, which is a very contradicting sentence to say out loud. Oh, goodness, yeah, Tech is not comfortable at all. You can see under braking, the car just moving all over the shop. Yeah, that car is not comfortable at all. Epic Vale has left the session. Hazara leaves the session as well. I think that's another car that's gone. Hazara is out. So we're down to 14. If you're Dirk, I feel like if you're seeing this, you allow Max van der Geest through, apparently, is what you do. What on earth is happening there?
I think that is a perfect move, because Max van der Geest had so much. Max van der Geest was pushing Volokongen. Dirk has seen Volokongen pit and gone, right, if you can pull away, do it, I'll hold people up. And if let's see over the let's see how this pans out, because that could be an absolute worldie of a play from these two RBE drivers.
Yeah, good teamwork between the two RBs, potentially. The timing as Volokongen is still stuck behind Tech Brutal. Yet to make a stop is our championship leader at this moment in time. But also at the same time, despite being in and out of the session, is looking set to potentially, at least over his nearest rivals, extend his lead at the top of the standings, with the only man who's really of any real threat. Well, I mean, no, maybe not any real threat, but, you know, of any still potential threat to him, is Volokongen. He's realistically looking like the only man who could really put a severe indent into that, you know, into that gap that he has. I mean, you know, look at the standings. You got Tech Brutal out in front. You know, then you got Brando in. There's a bit of a gap to Brando, and then there's another bit of a gap to Ryder Dell. But then there's a whole host of drivers just kind of waiting, you know, with a good result that they could really put themselves into title contention. Volokongen is that man at the moment who's looking, you know, set for a really good result here, but he's got a dispatch of the championship lead. He's got a dispatch of Tech Brutal as quickly as he can. Is he looking for a move into Massenet? Indeed he is. He's up the inside of Tech Brutal into Massenet. He'll turn to the outside of Casino. He's got the grip. He's got the move done. And now that leaves him Tech Brutal vulnerable to a lesson.
Oh, and a lesson barging a little bit of Robbins racing there, but a lesson had to get it through. And he has done on that occasion. Oscar trying to find a way through as well. Oscar's trying to go around to the outside of the Grand Hotel hairpin. Now up the inside of Mirabu Pass. And I think that is a very good move from the Shizou driver to get through there, especially on the championship leader. And Tech Brutal will have wondered what's happened after dropping 3 places in a matter of moments.
Well, all 3 of them were, you know, on fresher tyres, and Volokongan has just about dispatched them quickly enough. So that's good work from Volokongan, and yeah, good work, albeit maybe a bit forceful from a lesson. Nevertheless, has got the move done, and Oscar did very well to follow Volokongan and a lesson through.
Yeah, Volokongan then, this lead train at the right moment, won't be ahead of Nail. Nail's got this one, as things stand, wrapped up. But, you know, we know that's all only half of the story, as we're halfway, well, no, we're not even halfway through this race yet. But the Volokongan doing a very good job on that side. So is, you know, I'll give Alassin and Oscar their due. Following in possibly is the best move that they played.
Yeah, I was thinking for Dirk, I don't know if, you know, if you'd have known or if you'd have had the knowledge of it anyway. You know, if he knew that Volokongan had got stuck behind Tech Brutal, but you know, if I'd heard that news, I'd be thinking, you know, maybe this is the time. Good in lap, and you know, let's get in and see if we can keep hold of our position for the time being. In the end, hasn't worked out like that, and the 2 RBs have stayed out for the time being.
It's about 16 seconds between Dirk and Volokongan at the moment. Definitely not enough, I don't think, for the pits here at Monaco. I think you're going to lose about 23, 24 seconds. But in the wet, maybe it's a little less because obviously the cars are going slower. But Nail nearly has this wrapped up. Well, 16 seconds between 7th and 3rd, and it's 16 seconds between 1st and 2nd. Yeah. That is an incredible stat.
It's domination. Domination from our race leader so far. And, you know, he has basically given himself a gap where all he does have to do is keep out the barriers for, well, just another 22 laps, give or take. How hard can it be?
Volokongan has gone a 10th quicker on this lap in the first sector alone. So obviously pace is with Volokongan at the moment. And I think Alassin is struggling to keep up overall. Set down to up to 7/10 of a second at the moment. We'll have to wait and see how it all panned out. All it takes is one small mistake and it will, oh, it can frustrate. Look, the gap just opens up a little bit, but through into Nouvelle Chicane, I think Alassin has that just a better line going into the Nouvelle Chicane. Now, you know, obviously this battling is going on, and we heard 2 weeks ago that we don't think Cameron Dowds will be racing again this season, and possibly one of the best drivers never to have claimed a tier 1 driver there.
I was thinking the same thing when I saw it earlier. It's like, we are probably talking about one of, if not the greatest driver to have never won the title. Which is a shame, because I think, you know, if anyone did deserve to win a title, it is Cameron Dowds. But, you know, I'm sure, you know, in the context of his, you know, I guess esports career, if you will, you know, if he's decided, because I'm guessing that's all stemmed from a move to PC. I'm guessing. I'm not entirely sure on the details myself, but
yeah, but he's moved to PC, so it's obviously the next step for him to continue progressing. Just quickly answering Tony Hitala. So Nail is basically God at Monaco, and it's wet, and everyone else is struggling, I think is the best way to describe this one. And also Dirk letting Max van der Gies go is also looking like a wise decision from the TF10 team.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I just realised that myself. Yeah, both TF10 drivers, or 2 TF10 drivers in the RBs. Yeah, working well together. We'll have to see where they... there we go, Cameron's dad in the chat. confirming Cameron's ambitions and aspirations, which is totally fair. You know, it is the next logical step in his career, and
we did miss your message of support for your son.
yes,
it's not the same without that message there anymore, Cameron Stud.
yeah, it's true. Gonna miss that. Feels like a part of the
Furniture.
console tier 1 streamers departed. How are we gonna replace it?
I don't know. We're gonna have to speak to Luke, see what we can do. But
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Volakongan is pulling away from Lesson, so the
Yes.
pace is going through there. Just cast our minds back on the race there, but yeah, definitely a part of the stream is missing.
Yeah, I was just thinking. You know, it's. I mean, when was the last time we have gone to chat this much in the middle of a race? I don't remember it. The Quantum's into the pit lane, by the way, for his one and only stop. Well, I guess technically you can go straight to the end if the tyres will last. But I'm going to take a wild guess to say that's not going to be the case. The Quantum into the pits, pressure set of intermediates, much pressure set of intermediates, by the way. So that'll be quite a pace advantage in terms of the tyres he'll have at his disposal. Whether he can dance around the streets of Monte Carlo fast enough, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just briefly back onto you know, onto what I was mentioning. Yeah, since when do we end up having to go to chat and well, yeah, just our minds just taken away from the race and move on to, you know, to the stream chat. I don't think that's ever happened. So not in my time commentating.
It is a very rare thing to happen, and it hasn't happened for me in a long time. But there's a few bits of bubbling action that we got to remind ourselves that it is happening throughout. Obviously, a lesson.
Speaking of, Casper Flack, it's straight to the back of TF10 Dirk into Raskas. Much later on the brakes, much more confidence. Maybe even a bit of front wing damage to that Alpine. And we'll go on the off-board camera just to have a look. Is there any end plates missing?
Doesn't look like
Not as far as I can see, nothing crazy anyway. Just gone away with one. But yeah, Casper Flack does have a lot of, seemingly a lot more confidence in that car, at least in comparison to TF10 Dirk, which, you know, we've seen, you know, was a bit of a hold-up, with all due respect, at the front of that train from P2 down to what was P8 at the time. Of course, a couple of pit stops have happened in the meantime since. And yeah, you can just see Casper is all over the back of Dirk, and you know, given an opportunity, he's going to want to take it. But I think, to be honest, I think what hasn't helped is the wet conditions. If it was dry, I do think we would have seen a lot more, at least risk taken again. Look at that from Dirk. Casper Flack picks up a penalty. They were side by side on exit. I don't know who keeps holding this position in this scenario. I'm not entirely sure either way. Casper goes on the inside into the back. He gets the move done. He dispatches of Dirk, and he can scamper off down the road. At least that's what Casper will be hoping for. He has picked up a 3-second penalty in the process. Yeah, I'm not sure what the stewards are going to think of that one if that gets taken, if it does get taken to the stewards. Casper Flack, you know, getting a penalty for corner cutting, but it was Dirk who missed the chicane in the first place. So
well, I think the 3-second penalty. Oh, yellow flag. Who's lost it? That is Brando. That is not great, but still in the race. Is there front wing damage for the McLaren driver? Let's go. Oh, let's go on board with Brando. Try to go on board with Brando. Look, Quantum's the quickest driver on the circuit. Still looks like there's front end on this side anyway of the McLaren. Not ideal.
That's gear behind him, by the way.
That is not ideal for Brando at all. And Brando, well, obviously, Brando has pitted, and there is front end plate damage to that McLaren. But yeah, it is crazy for Brando right now. And some of these drivers are probably just thinking, I'm going to stick it out, because if there's any more drivers that retire or crash out, I'm likely to get points. There's still a long way to go, but Brando didn't think that. Brando's gone.
He's had enough. He's had enough. 21 laps in of the torture that is Monte Carlo in the rain. He's had enough of it. It is a non-score for one of the title contenders for TF10 Brando. Max van der Geest is into the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out in comparison to the likes of Ryderdal, Volakongen, and Alessin. Ryderdal's call actually to go in really early might be an utter masterstroke. In fact, well, scrap that. It is a masterstroke because I think he's net P2, isn't he?
Right now, is Max van der Geest going to come out in front of Le Quantum? Le Quantum's fast, but not fast enough. Max van der Geest comes out in 8th place for the time being. And then this is where Dirk and Casper will look like they're going to come out on track at. Nail now has the opportunity, I think, to pit, as Ryan goes the quickest of all, to pit and come out in the lead.
I think that's probably what he's waiting on. Max van der Geest coming in might have just allowed that to happen. There you go. Nalgio into the pit lane. So race leader into the pit lane then. He's got a 22.5 second lead out in front. Does the Aston Martin. Change the intermediates. Onto another set of intermediates. Away you go. Will he be out in front? Is he going to be under any threat? The answer is no, he's not. Nalgio is going to be comfortably leading this Grand Prix no matter what happens, and all that is now in the way from Nalgio and victory here in Monaco is himself and maybe a safety car.
I mean, even if there is a safety car, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop the pure dominance that he's shown. It's only he's racing this race against himself right now, and that in itself is dangerous. We've seen quite a few times when drivers have that comfortability at the front, it can cost them.
Yeah, I think I was mentioning it earlier. As far as anyone challenging him, no one will challenge him. It's as simple as that. No one is on his level here today. But the question is, there's plenty of tracks where you think, yeah, I've got so much in hand, it's fine, I've got it covered. And that's the case for Nalgio here today. The only asterisk to all that, it's Monaco. And you could easily defeat yourself, or you can defeat yourself here way easier than you can at literally any other track on the calendar. It can go wrong in an instant, and he's just got to keep his mind sharp, keep it concentrated for the next 15 laps or so before that'll be that, and he will have claimed victory. But he's still got a long way to go before he can manage it.
I'm starting to wonder whether Nail would have been able to complete the race without having to pit, because he technically, in the wet conditions, doesn't have to pit.
Yeah, you're right.
And I don't think I've ever seen that in console tier 1 of a driver. I've commentated on races that have, but I don't think I've seen it in WOR console tier 1 where a driver hasn't pitted. Talk about a stat that Nail could have got. He can't now.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think it's more common on the full wets. When you get the full wets out, it's usually that's when it's happened. I think I've seen a couple on like 2017, 2018. When it's been full wet conditions, the tires wear a bit less. So it. Goodness me, that's a lap, isn't it?
That's basically saying, hold my beer, I'm going to go faster. Because Le Quantum had the fastest lap before, and that was a 19.1, and that was in the 17s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He is on a completely different level. It's Nalgio. What are you watching?
Volakongen and Ryderdal. That's getting very close and up the inside, and Ryderdal does not, in my opinion, I will have to rewatch, but I don't think Ryderdal gave room there.
I'll watch it back on stream. I caught it with Volakongen up the inside. I'll have to give another watch on stream. I'll watch it now. But Volakongen nevertheless is through. We'll see what the stewards have to say about that, because I can pretty much guarantee He will have something to say about that. Don't know. I mean, watching it back, there is a sense of, Ryderdal, turning, but it is also a bit of a late move from Volokongan, which there's nothing, he's more than entitled to go for it. My guess, if we're going off purely Monaco and letter of the law, you'd maybe say Volokongan didn't quite get enough of his nose alongside to make that move. It's a tricky one because Volokongan, you'd have to say, is not alongside enough in that scenario. But at the same time, Ryderdal does turn into the apex as if he hasn't seen him. If difficult to call. Potentially, if just because he has made the move, maybe a penalty could be coming Volokongan's way. I'm just spitballing here. I wouldn't know. Either way, for the time being, what we do know is he's up to P3, and he's now going to try and hunt down Casper Flack, who's 7.5 seconds up the road on 26 lap old intermediate tyres.
Casper yet to pit Volokongan. Volokongan and Ryderdal's teammate, of all things, Alessin, have gotten through. Volokongan did pull away from Alessin last time of asking. Looks like that's happening again. Ryderdal can now hold up Oscar, Max van der Gies, Le Quantum and Dirk, and basically do the Dirk treatment to all of them, because this is very, very interesting to see how it will all pan out, because Ryderdal's already 1.6 seconds behind Alessin, and Alessin's 1.2 behind Volokongan. Even if a penalty does go Volokongan's way, he could also be out of that range.
Yeah, he probably will, especially given the tyre difference, he probably will have more than enough. Because it won't be a huge penalty if there is one, We're talking probably max 5 seconds. There's nothing crazy malicious about it. It's just one of those things that happens. He went for a move, there was contact, and went maybe slightly wrong, maybe slightly at fault, but there's nothing outlandish or anything like that about it. So there is a solid chance, as you mentioned, especially given the tyre deficit in Volokongan's favour, that he is able to just check out anyway and it won't matter. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. The laps keep ticking on by. It's lap 28 of 39. Now Gio has extended his lead, re-extended his lead to 13.5 seconds. That is going to keep climbing. Okay, 10 laps to go, Gareth. How big's that gap going to be then?
Oh God. 29, no, 34 seconds. Not if Lawrence has crashed out at Casino, and it's only a virtual. It is only a virtual safety car. That is number 5. I did want to bring up, Casper was 3.5 seconds behind Nail when Nail pitted. He is now ridiculously 18 seconds, and I think somehow it's growing under the safety car, and I'm not sure how, under the virtual, I'm not sure how, but my goodness me, Casper is losing a lot of time right now.
Yep, he excuse me, he is indeed. 20 seconds there, go. Yeah, you might be on the money there with plus 30.
What do you reckon?
See, I was thinking around about a 30-second gap myself, but I'll see when this virtual safety car is over and we see what the gap really is. If it is at 20 seconds, I might be tempted just to say, you know what? I'll say okay. Now it's in. I'm going to say 37. That's my guess.
Did I go 34 in the end? I can't remember.
Never mind. I don't think Casper's in.
Max van der Gies goes wide into Raskas and has lost a position to Quantum. Sorry, not Max van der Geest. Yeah, no, it was Max van der Geest. I thought it was Dirk for a second, but obviously Dirk was already behind. So I think Max van der Geest tried to make a move on Oscar and couldn't. Yellow flag. Lawrence out of this Grand Prix.
Whoa. Oh, they're sideways. They're even more sideways. Quantum's up the inside. He's up the inside into Casino. There's action on track. Quantum and Oscar doing battle. And Quantum has got the inside to Miro. Van der Geest has stuffed up the inside as well. It's chaos here in Monte Carlo. They're finally doing battle. They've said enough of this. Enough of the procession. We want to just absolutely go hammer and tongs at it. And they've done just that. Quantum's up to P5, Max van der Geest has got back into P6, and Oscar, who'll be kicking himself, is down to P7.
Yeah, Oscar. Well, Max van der Geest back to where he started at the end of last lap, but just instead of Mercedes in front of him, he's now has a Ferrari in front of him of Le Quantum. Le Quantum, I don't think is going to make. Well, I think Le Quantum's going to make quite easy work of Ryder Dahl just ahead. We'll have to wait and see. And that's Dirk going up the inside of Oscar. And Oscar's losing another place. Max van der Geest is trying up the inside. I'm through. Anthony Nodes. Oh, my goodness me. Oscar has it. I saw something fly off. Is that front end plate? No, it's not, thankfully, for the Mercedes.
Someone said he might be struggling with tyre wear. I'm not sure how, considering Ryder Dahl's done 26 laps. Casper did something similar as well on those tyres, but Ryder Dahl, to be fair, he is dancing quite a bit through these corners here, through Casino. Oh, he's wide, is he wide? Just about gets to stop, he parks it well, just enough. Quantum's dancing and weaving and looking for a way round. He's going to get put in the wall. He's not. He's gone right round the outside of the Grand Hotel hairpin. It has been done. Quantum up to P4, dispatches of Ryder Dahl, and next on for Ryder Dahl to defend against is Max van der Geest, but I think those tyres are well and truly gone. There's too much on them. Oh no, is he just, there is contact. He did get it stopped, and it's contact with Max van der Geest. Van der Geest in the wall, Ryder Dahl's round. Max van der Geest is out the Grand Prix. The rear suspension's gone. It is utter bedlam here in Monte Carlo. What on earth has happened there, Gareth?
Jeez, I think Ryder Dahl, Max van der Geest coming out of the tunnel, losing a bit of grip, whatever you want to call it, and then just careered into the side of Ryder Dahl. Ryder Dahl tried to, I suppose, right himself through the Nouvelle chicane at the exit of it and couldn't, and, put Max van der Geest into the wall, unfortunately, and Max van der Geest tried to recover and then ended up putting himself further into the wall and lost the rear right. We're down to 11 drivers, Leopard, and at the moment, Epic Vale hasn't passed Max van der Geest. And here we go. Max. Goodness me. It is an Aston Martin 1-2, and the RB drivers who were in with it at the start all of a sudden have dropped away.
It's fallen apart, hasn't it? If you're RB, it's utter joy. If you're Aston Martin, they are a few laps away from an incredible 1-2 finish with one of the most dominant drives I think we've seen in Monday league racing. I mean, when was the last time you saw a gap like this between first and second?
Otis Lawrence.
Yeah, no, good point, good point. Good point.
But
You're
still,
right.
that is a long time ago when you come and think about it in a console tier 1 state. That was it before crossplay? It's either before crossplay or the first season of crossplay, and that in itself was a few seasons ago.
I mean, it was F1 22. Did he only do the one season, the first season, 20 before he moved to PC? He did the second half on PC.
Did the second half on PC, yeah, and then
so yeah, he would have been he would have moved just before the crossplay era. I'm pretty sure.
He was relentless anyway, just like Thomas Ronha and Tom Manley before that.
Yeah, I know.
You were there, but thankfully, I think it was Smokey that won the initial crossplay season, which makes it all that more interesting. Let's go on board with Tech Brutal and TF10 Ryan, because they're the closest on track, and Brutal's trying to find a way through, but it's not happening at the moment. It was Otis Lawrence who won the last Xbox side of things from all that. And I believe, I want to say he won something like, if you included season 12, he won 7, 8 races in a row. I might be wrong. He was rapid. He was rapid at the end of season 12, and then into season 13, he was incredible. But Nail Gullet absolutely on the money today.
Yeah. Although I think he's going to be disappointing both of us, because I don't think that gap's going to quite... Well, to be fair, you might be close. I might have pushed the bow out a bit too far, actually, come to think of it. You actually might be right on the money here with 34 seconds.
I mean, I'm just looking at the tyre life and the difference between the two. Volokongan, though, pulled 4 seconds on a lesson there. That I'll give Volokongan that. That is some good pace. If Volokongan wasn't stuck behind Dirk, I'm not going to say he would be close to Nail. Not by 100. Well, probably closer by about 15 seconds. But he would be much closer than he is now.
Yeah, for sure. That is for certain. Lap 35 or 39 for Nalgio. I do have memories around this circuit, in particular at Casino there. Yeah, one of, I think it was my first ever Monaco League race that I did. I was, I think I was leading or in second, one of the two. I think I was leading. I might have been chasing, I can't remember. And I ended up turning in slightly too early on lap 35 into Casino. And the front right completely caved in. And that was that. All the way back on F1 2016. Where that's, come to think of it, that's nearly a decade ago. We'll gloss over that in a bit.
I mean, I felt old enough as it is, but my goodness me, you're just making it worse.
Yeah, no, I haven't helped us there, have I? You in particular.
Yeah, definitely me. It's up to 30.7 seconds now with, 5 laps remaining? 4. As Nail just crosses the line. It's 5 laps for everyone else. Maybe 5 years for everyone else by the feels of things. But LeQuantum, Dirk and Casper fighting away for P4.
Yep, indeed they are. This is probably the battle to watch for the rest of this Grand Prix. Casper Flack, Dirk and LeQuantum. Dirk sideways as he often has been throughout this Grand Prix. Yeah, it's still just about keeping that RB facing the right way somehow. I'm not entirely sure how if he gets to the end. But he's getting ever so close to getting that RB to the end of the Grand Prix. I think if you were to watch the start of this Grand Prix and you told someone, oh, one of the RBs crashed out, you would not have had your money on it being Max van der Geest. Looking at the shapes Dirk's car was pulling at the start of this Grand Prix, but nevertheless, 36 laps later, and he's doing just right as well. Casper Flack nearly goes for a move into the Grand Hotel hairpin, decides better of it. But yeah, this is the battle for P. Well, yeah, it is the battle for P3 with Alessin's penalty. Alessin with the penalty, not going to be a part of it.
They've caught up with Alessin really quickly. It was over a second at the start of this lap, and now it's less than a 4/10 of a second, which in itself is nuts. Alessin really struggling on those 23 lap old tyres, but is helping Volokongan keep that P2 right now with possible stewards inquiry going in later on. But up the inside on Dirk is Casper, and that's a position made through Larascas where we lost. We saw Max van der Geest make move earlier on, so the RBs are able to do it.
Yep, Casper Flack up the inside of Dirk, and I think Quantum is looking on the road to try and dispatch of Alessin. He's got just under 3 laps to do just that. Here comes the Quantum. No, balked on the exit. That'll be that for his attempt into Maribor. He's going to have to, try and fashion out a couple extra opportunities. It's the Ferrari. Casper's going to be also looking. He's actually got way better tyres, hasn't he? Just realised 7-lap old intermediate. He's got the best tyres out of anybody. Here comes Quantum. Don't do it here. Don't. Yeah. Wise call. Casper looking to the outside of into the Newmont chicane. He's looking to the inside of the second par. No one wants to give any room. No one wants to yield in the end. LeQuantum's forced to yield. Casper has got through. He's kind of barged his way through, forced his way through. That's risky as well from the Alpine. He picks up another penalty in the process.
Front wing plate damage as well on the left-hand side.
Yeah, unless his tyres have gone, he's a bit of a... What's the kindest way to describe it? Well, we'll describe it in a bit, because Casper's got such better drivers to turn to the outside of Sandoval. Again, has to think better of it, going to look for the switchback, but again, his car is in the wrong place. He gets bogged on exit, and just like that, LeQuantum's back up in a P4. No, he's not. What's happening? I'm not entirely sure.
Ghosting's
happening. Contact as well.
Best, and then there's contact between the Ferrari and the RB, and there's front end plate damage on the RB, and I think there's front end plate damage on every car behind Alessin here, behind Casper here. No, other than Alessin. I don't think Alessin has front wing damage. I think that's the only driver out of the 4 of them right now that doesn't have wing damage, but Casper with the younger tyres is able to pull away.
Yeah, he'll check out for what might be an easy P3.
Oscar has a puncture to the tyre, serving the penalty as well for Oscar, which is not ideal. That could allow Epic Vale into the points. It has done. Epic Vale into the points now, and a front wing change as well. And all of a sudden, we're on the last lap. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Let's go on board now, because this has been absolutely insane from the Aston Martin driver. What a drive in wet conditions in Monaco. Absolute king of the streets in Monaco right now. We'll say that, clips the wall and the exit of Tabac, but that what a way to end that race that would have been if that had caused him problems, but it's not going to. Through into La Rascasse for the last time tonight, and for the F124, possibly not for him because he loves it so much, but through Anthony Nodes and across the line to take victory by, at the moment, 39.8 seconds. So you're going to win that one. Volokongan is, well, tried his best, but he's being caught by Casper right now as they come on through. There is a little bit of action still to be had, a little bit of jeopardy for Volokongan as he's coming through to back. Is Casper going to gain a 3 second? Well, gain, how much is Casper going to gain to Volokongan? Because at the moment it's Aston Martin 1-2, and they've done a very good job. It's over 40 seconds now between Volokongan and Nail, and Nail's finished the race. That's how bad it is for some of these guys. Down the start finish rate for Volokongan though, but a great race from him, a great race for Casper for going longer, and they're managing to make move. It's under 3 seconds there as well, but the penalties take it to 8.9. My goodness me, Leopard. It's still going on across the line between Dirk, Quantum and Alessin as well. Wow. With only 11 drivers finishes, it didn't go too badly.
No, it wasn't. I think we've definitely seen worse Monaco Grand Prix. That is for certain. And there you go. There is everyone across the line. Nalgio on a complete and utter other planet. I think it's the only way to describe that.
Yes.
There you go. There's the expert analysis from the pair of us.
There was literally nothing else we could say.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one of the best drives I think we've seen in Monday League racing.
For a long, long time, we haven't seen something so dominant and controlled as Nail. And he only had himself to fight against, really, and my goodness me, he's done a very, very good job of it all, and taking victory here in the Monte Carlo Grand Prix in Monaco. Volokongan second, making it a Aston Martin 1-2. Casper Flack in third, rounding out the podium. Then it was Dirk, LeQuantum, Alessin, Ryan, Tech Brutal, the championship leader, picking up some points. Started where he finished, or finished where he started as well. Ryderdal in 9th, 10th to Epic Vale, and the only other driver to finish out of that was Oscar. No finishing for Max van der Gies, Lawrence, Brando, Hazara, Ray and Bakar, Joe Murphy, Lifebout, Alpha Kevin, or Justin. Now I've managed to say that. My goodness me, what a crazy, crazy Monaco Grand Prix.
Indeed, it was. Rain made it completely and utterly, well, treacherous for the drivers. Could barely get the power to... Excuse me. Surprised that one hasn't happened a bit more. But yeah, it was utterly treacherous for some of the drivers. Could barely keep it in a straight line. But yeah, it was Nalgio who, maybe unsurprisingly to some, you know, was able to master the streets, keep us cool, keep the car facing the right way, and well, just check out to just a very casual 41-second advantage come the checkered flag to, you know, cap off one of the most dominant drives we've seen in modern day league racing. As far as the title is concerned, that is a very good day if you are Shazoo Volokongan.
Definitely. That I don't think Volocon was, but he possibly wasn't expecting that going into that race, to be honest. That is something. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but it's damage limitation for Tech. But my goodness me, what a race for and point score for Volokongan, especially after a no point score in Singapore.
Yeah, that definitely puts this title charge back on track. 4 rounds to go. Yeah, not long left in the season now. The season will, you know, be rounded off on the 2nd of May. So yeah, not long now.
If my maths serves me correctly, he's 19 points behind Tech Brutal after starting the evening at 33 points behind Tech Brutal. That's a good swing.
It's in and around that margin, isn't it? Brando will still be in 2nd place in the standings. He'll only lost a couple points, so you could argue he's, despite not finishing, the implications could have been a lot worse if you're TF10 Brando. What isn't helpful is obviously 2 no points finishes back to back. He'll be in need, just for the sake of his confidence, of a good result wherever we are for round 7. Which I guess now seems like a good time to play the lottery.
Yeah, I'm just looking for my pen. Yeah, let's have a look at. Let's take us back to the calendar. Let's go to the calendar here. We've got 4 rounds remaining. Oh goodness, I'm just looking back. Who have I chosen? I've chosen Baku, Australia, Imola, and Saudi Arabia. None of those have been picked. You know what? I might go with Mexico next week.
Ooh.
I feel like we need some open space driving.
Interesting. I'm gonna go for... I'm gonna say Qatar.
Interesting.
Again, no logic. No logic behind it all, just that one.
No
that was
logic.
A good bet.
No logic. Just choose a race. I think that is great.
Just
vibes. I mean, it's exactly what we're doing anyway. But any final words? Because I don't think we're going to get any interviews this evening. And to be honest, Nail will just say how good he is, because that is the truth. But yeah, any final words from you this evening?
I don't know. Well, I mean, what more can really be said other than the utter dominance of? I mean, it was a. Again, I think when we saw it was going to be Monaco, we 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 had our fears. It's safe to say, but I think it definitely could have gone a lot worse for us as a neutral. Chat kept us entertained for a little bit, and yeah, all in all, yeah, that definitely could have gone a lot worse. I feel like.
It definitely could have done, but that is all we have time for tonight. It was a race of attrition for everyone else to try and keep it on the track, but for Nail, it was just another day in Monaco. Absolutely incredible, insane, whatever superlative words you can throw at it. Nail filled it tonight. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Catch us at the same time next week. But hopefully it's not Monaco again, because that would be against the rules, I hope.
It's
but
not possible. Let's hope that's not a thing.
It's Luke. Anything is possible. But yeah,
well, no.
It's been a far more entertaining Monaco Grand Prix than we were expecting. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.